Okay, class, let's get started on our first airplane. What I'd like you to do is on your paper, divide it in half. We'll put the side view up on top, and we'll put the 3/4 view on the bottom, okay? So how do we want to start this? Okay, we go up here, and look at our picture, our image here of the side view. Okay, and again, this is a little bit of a tilted view, as you can tell. Not quite a perfectly side view. And this is a 1907 Voisin Herman plane, Herman biplane. Biplane means it had two wings. You have a lower wing, you have an upper wing, okay? Bi, meaning two, okay? The reason why it's called a Farman is because it was the French aviator Henry Farman who used this in a contest. During that time, in the early 1900s, there were a lot of contests that each builder, including the Wright brothers, they were all building these things to win competitions. And part of the competition to prove who was the best aviator, who had the best airplane, would be things like distance, like a football field, the radius, if they could, a turning radius, they could turn it around, how high it was. So this was built specifically to run these competitions. Obviously, part of that process of doing a competition is you end up building a better machine. You're up against competition. And so you can see how most things in technology, it does take competition to make these things get better, okay? But for exercise, let's go ahead and do the side view. Again, this is 1907 Voisin plane, okay? And you can tell now we got the wing, the left side of the wing here, the right side way over there. So there's a little bit, but you can tell these early planes, it's kind of a box, right? Remember we talked about how everything can be put into a box? This can really be put into a box. So what we're gonna do, set up our box a little bit. Okay. Here's our wings. That's one side of the wing, let's say here. Other side's over here. And it bends down and bends back up again this way. So it's got a little crease this way. This really shows us the underside of that wing on the left side. So you can see it goes up and comes back down like this, okay? That's our top wing. You got these spars and all these trusses holding it together. Our bottom wing is here. Again, same thing, it kind of bends down. So you see the bottom, we're looking at the bottom of it here, and it bends up to the other side. We don't quite see the other side, but this is pretty much the middle, right through here. That's the middle of the plane, and that's where we're gonna put our person. And I like doing vehicles where you get to put the person in, just a little indication of a person, because it shows scale. He's got his feet out here, his arms out. Usually they had like a rod they hung on to. And what's also interesting about this type of airplane back in the day, just lightly putting things in, that's the rudder. That's actually what moves it. That wing out here in the front, I'm gonna put here, goes this way, and it's got these structural pieces holding it in place. But that piece actually went back and forth. So it went like this. That's how they turned the airplane. If you look at the front of the Wright brothers airplane, same thing. There's this big thing in the front, and that's the part that actually turns it. It wasn't until later on that they actually put the rudder in the back, okay? So in the back, we have this structure going back out this way, and then we have this large area here. Now that also may have moved this way, but this gave it the yaw in the front. So you have these two areas that are actually turning the vehicle. And let's see, right behind him is an engine. You can just, again, build it with boxes. Looks like that's probably the air cleaner up here, or the exhaust. That's his block. What's also interesting about these early days, they couldn't use necessarily cast iron motors because they're very heavy. So in the Wright brothers plane, they started using aluminum. There's his chair. Let's see, there's probably a spar in here someplace, here. We're not gonna put all these different spars in because it gets really complicated. Again, these are basically metal wires that are really holding this thing together in tension. And then that's the other side of this part. In some ways, if you look at, you can kind of look what these look like from the top view. You've got this long piece like this. Here's the wings. Okay, it goes back out like this. Here's the front of the wings out here. So a lot of the understanding, of course, the wings did this. Here's our person up here. So a lot of the way we look at the side view is because we understand what the top view is doing. And I know this is a new design for you. So it kind of has this big cross, actually kind of looking dynamics. And then back here you'd have the blade itself from the engine. The engine sits here behind the pilot. Okay, so you have your engine here, there's the pilot, you had a stick that controlled the angle of this piece that went up and down, and the piece in the back that went back and forth. Okay, so that's kind of how you sort of look at how you got to sort of understand the top view to get the side view. Okay, so we'll look at that now. Now, as in before, when we sketch, we're always making sure that we have very light lines to get our proportions in. Okay, and then we can go back in and start darkening things up. So what I like to do usually in a sketch, I like to darken up the part that's closest to me. A little bit of that. So that's the underside of the carriage. And I'm sort of making my lines go back and forth this way because you can tell that's how they built it. Okay, that's the bottom of the wing. Here's the bottom of the bottom wing. And then you see this part here structure that goes out towards the front. Again, there's another wing here. There's the shadow. See this? That's the shadow underneath that wing. And you got some kind of structural spars and wires really holding everything together. So we can just sort of lightly put those in. Okay, I'm going to try and make the focus here in the center. So I will come back in and darken the suit of the gentleman. And right behind his head is the engine. Okay, then we have this part back here, and then we have the left side, like here, and we have the right side. You can see the right side, that's why it's dark on this side. That's why it's dark here. And we'll go ahead and darken this in a little bit. Very interesting aircraft, very boxy, obviously, kind of like a box kite. And like I said, generally with something so complex, it's always good to make the parts of an object darker that are closest to you. And obviously this part of the wing would be closest to us. Just makes it easier to read. As we get away from the center, this can be lighter back here. Okay. Let's see, maybe a little more back here. So there's our upper wing. This actually looks like an exhaust of some kind. I'm not sure what that is up on top there, but that's why research is always fun. You get to learn how things are built. Here are parrots. So go back in and darken it just a little bit. So here's his face, just a little bit, just getting a little detail. Oh, we got the landing gear, or actually just the wheels. And it's interesting seeing this type of wheel. Looks like a bicycle wheel, which is probably true. The Wright brothers were bicycle makers. And it's sort of interesting in the early days of aviation how much bicycle technology was used in these very lightweight vehicles. Because again, bicycles are very lightweight. The construction processes and how they put things together on a bicycle tend to lend itself to early aircraft as well. Okay. Again, we're doing focus here, make that darker, a little bit of detail around it. But it's a sketch. Again, all came from a box or a rectangle. So here you got the front part, the midsection, and the rear of the aircraft. And again, this wheel is closest to us, so I'm going to make that just a little darker. And I can go about lighter back there. See that? So you have sort of a depth of field even in a side view sketch. Okay? Again, thank you very much, and let's go on to the next project. We're going to use the lower half of the paper for the next project now.